Picture the scene. I was 12 years old and for the first time I was growing out of and beginning to drift from Doctor Who a little bit. I was staying at my uncle's for the weekend and he popped in a VHS of a show which he said had a lot of the Doctor Who actors in it and was made in the late 70s and was Doctor Who for adults. I was absolutely astonished and transfixed from the show's iconic opening titles and sat there in awe for the next 50 minutes as I saw the first ever episode of cult science fiction classic Blake 7. For those of you who don't know, Blake 7 ran from 1978 to 1981 on the BBC and is now considered an iconic cult classic. It was created by Terry Nation, the creator of the Daleks, and a while back I made a video all about the life of Terry Nation, and in that video I said if a few people commented I would do a video about Blake 7. And sure enough, a few of you lovely people wrote down that you'd love to hear me talk about it, so in this video I have no script. I am going completely off my own head, off my own instincts. I've set a timer on my phone and I will be talking about why I love Blake 7 until the timer runs out and why it's still important and why you should love it too. My name's Ruby, aka Hoobie Jones. That's Petrol the Dalek, and I hope you enjoy hearing an autistic girl rabbit on about why they love Blake 7. So I'm going to assume that if you clicked on this video you already have some base knowledge of what Blake 7 is. Follows the central character Rog Blake and the eponymous 7 characters of freedom fighters as they travel across the galaxy battling against the totalitarian Federation run by the brilliant Servalan played by Jacqueline Pearce. Now again, I'm going to take you back to when I saw that first ever episode. When I was at that age, I was about 12, I was for the first time realising that life ain't all it seems. People were deceiving, people were weird, the government was lying to us and all these things, and everything wasn't as rosy as I got promised when I was younger. And this perfectly fed into when I saw the first episode of Blake 7. The episode is really clever, I must have seen it hundreds of times at this point, in that it focuses on the character Blake, and these people that bump into him and they sort of say, oh, we need to show you something. Now in this world, everyone lives in this giant dome in the future, it's illegal to go outside on the planet Earth. Blake goes outside, he gets taken to a resistance meeting, and he finds out that he once was a freedom fighter and he had his brain erased and altered so he could be part of the state, and basically an example as to what would happen if anyone else stepped out of line. What's great about this resistance meeting scene is it instantly shows us how dark of a universe Blake 7 is, as we instantly see all these protesters getting gunned down when the Federation arrives, and we even get flashbacks of Blake's own brain being erased and reprogrammed so he's got no memory of any of these events. The Federation basically charge him with some bogus crimes and sentence him to life imprisonment on the prison planet of Cygnus Alpha, where he gets deported, and that's where we end at the end of episode 1. He gets put on a ship and shipped off to Cygnus Alpha. Whilst he's on this ship, he meets the characters which will become his crew and the other core characters of Blake 7. What I love the most about Blake 7 is that all our heroes are flawed. Yes, they are fighting against the Federation, yes, they are fighting against evil, but they've also got their own personal demons and their own personal motives. In episode 2, we get introduced to the character of computer genius Kurt Avon, and for my money there has never been another character as well written and interested in science fiction as Avon. Avon was imprisoned for stealing millions of credits from the Federation banking system, being a computer genius. And throughout all 4 series of Blake 7, you never truly know where Avon's loyalties lie. You get the sense that the next week he could just jump ship, he could just take it all for himself, he could just leave it all behind. Also in the second episode we meet Jenna, played by Sally Nivette, we meet Gan, played by David Jackson, and we meet the character of Villa, this lovable little villainous rogue played by Michael Keating. Through a whole host of events, they end up getting their own super futuristic ship where they meet the 7th member of their crew, the computer known as Zen. Now there's a lot of elements of Star Trek in Blake 7, they wear these little teleport bracelets and are able to teleport down to the surface and things like that, and it's so good and so charming and so unbelievably fun. Throughout the rest of the next season they also recruit the character of Callie, played by Jan Chappelle, who is a great addition to the team. She's a semi-mind reader as well, and as the series progresses we basically watch them battle against Servalan and the Federation. There's a lot of really great deep sci-fi throughout the first season of Blake 7. As you'd imagine a show where it's basically resistance fighters battling against the Federation could get old, there's some really unique and dark sci-fi elements that make it really interesting. There's an episode where it turns out that the ship they've essentially stolen still has some of its original crew members on board in life support, support and they get woken up and all hell breaks loose essentially. And there's even an episode at the end of the first season where the spaceship which they are on returns home and they essentially get tried for stealing it and everything like that. Doctor Who has this sort of underlying message throughout it, especially in the classic series, that good will always triumph over evil. That no matter what happens at the end of the day, the villains will always be in jail and the right people will always win. The Doctor will always be on the right side of it all and will be in the right. That is not the case in Blake 7. They lose in nearly every single episode fighting against the Federation. They lose in nearly every single battle. They are constantly getting compromised and they are constantly getting hounded. And let's be honest, it's pretty obvious from the outset of the show that they are not going to win against the Federation, but they've got nowhere else to go. You know, if they land on a planet that belongs to the Federation, they're all going to be arrested instantly for their crimes and deported back to Cygnus Alpha, most likely executed. Or they could try and fight against it and have some battles and have some interesting fun on the way, which is what they end up doing. Series 1 of Blake 7 is honestly a mixed bag like the first season of any show. There are some great episodes, some wonderful confrontations with Servalan, played by Jacqueline Pearce, and again, love the character of Servalan so much because she has this amazing energy and oozes evil and beauty, and it's just absolutely wonderful to watch, and her subordinate, Space Commander Travis. I must say that I prefer the original Travis, played by Stephen Greif in Season 1, than the Travis who's in the later seasons, but they're both brilliant and they're both a lot of fun. Series 1 ends in a really interesting place, where Blake ends up getting control of this computer called Aurak, and that closing sort of, I think it's 2 or 3 episodes of Season 1 where they get Aurak and then the Liberator goes home, is some of the finest sci-fi that has ever been put to screen. In Season 2 we have a season-long arc running with this base known as Star 1. That's basically where the Federation is controlled from, etc. They want to get to Star 1 to be able to control it all and all that sort of thing, and the series arc really serves it well. The character of Blake also really starts to fall to bits in Series 2 as well. The writers were pushing this idea that if someone had their mind altered and rearranged, the operation won't have gone smoothly and there'll be some erratic and weird moments. The game of cat and mouse with Avon deciding what side is actually on also just keeps getting played out throughout the series. Now, for those of you who think that classic Doctor Who is cheap and low budget, oh boy, it looks like bloody Star Wars when you stack it up against Blake 7. Blake 7 is so unbelievably obnoxiously cheap, but I really like it. I think that's part of the appeal of the show for me. There's all these weird little moments, like when Jenna has to operate and pilot the ship, she grabs these boosters and you can see the set and all the chairs are just sort of wobbling in the background whilst they're doing this, and it just really makes me laugh so much. The scene where they take the Liberator back in Season 1, they have to put these futuristic spacesuits on, and it literally looks like they've got some woks out of Terry Nation's kitchen, turned them upside down and made them into space helmets. But this adds to the show's unbelievable charm. There's a great quote from director David Maloney, who directed a lot of the episodes of Blake 7. I think he got asked, I think it was something like, what does Blake 7 have that Star Wars doesn't? And his answer was really interesting. He said, we've got time. We're a TV show. We've got time to develop these complex characters and their complex relationships. And that is what really sets Blake 7 apart. It's a space opera. It's a space soap opera. And we really get to know and love these characters. Even in some episodes which can be considered as duds or not very good, there's some great character drama and tension that carries the whole thing along. Now, I'm only briefly talking about the show and dipping into it here. You know, I could literally talk for hours about it, but I must say I love the character of Villa, played by Michael Keating. He's got so many great one-liners and he is the token coward. Apparently, Michael Keating would get drunk before they filmed it, like the night before, and he'd often be hungover and find it really hard to do his performances and things like that. So that they wrote that into the character of Villa, that Villa was a bit of a drunk who'd always feel sorry for himself when he'd been drinking and was hungover and things like that. At the end of Season 2, we have this major shake-up where the character of Blake, played by Gareth Thomas, ends up exiting the show. As you can imagine, when you have the character's name in the title of your show, this is the worst thing that could ever happen. Blake 7, but without the Blake. But despite this, I think Season 3 is the strongest in all of Blake 7's canon. The core cast of the Liberator, though, thankfully gets expanded with the addition of the character Tarrant and the character Dana. And once again, Avon sort of becomes the de facto leader of the group, but also we still can't trust him and we still can't quite trust his motives. Avon kind of falls in love with Servalan and they have a romance throughout this season, and it's really fun and really interesting to watch this whole thing play out. If you've got this far in the video and you have not seen Blake 7, I would highly recommend it. And now is the perfect time to experience the show for the first time, as it is currently being remastered onto Blu-ray with new special effects. Blake 7 was originally supposed to end at the conclusion of the third season as the ship the Liberator gets destroyed, but apparently as the cast were watching the final ever episode, a little continuity voiceover said that Blake 7 would be back next year for season 4, and lo and behold it was. Now I must say that there is a bit of a dip in quality in season 4. The show maybe had run its course by this point because they've got no ship, they've got nowhere to really go. They end up finding another ship which just isn't as big and just isn't the same, and when you watch them run around in season 4, yes, it's still great television, it's still really engaging, it's still really fun to watch. You kind of feel like maybe the magic has been lost a little bit too. There's no Blake anymore, you know? You could carry one season without Blake, but carrying 2 seasons without Blake was really tough, although he does come back in a cameo role. Now I'm going to spoil the ending of Blake 7 for you now, so if you haven't seen it, fast forward this bit of the video or whatever, or skip over it. I have given you a fair warning for the next minute or so I will discuss the ending. Blake 7 ends on this ridiculously stupid cliffhanger, where all of the main crew get killed off apart from Avon, and then the guards look at Avon, Avon points a gun at himself, and we cut to the end credits. 40 plus years later, we still don't know what happened to Kurt Avon at the end of the final episode. There was a news article going around a couple of weeks ago saying that beloved sci-fi show is going to get reboot, and I clicked on it and it basically said that a production company has bought the rights to Blake 7 and a full remake is currently in development, and honestly I couldn't quite believe it, but also I think of any of the classic sci-fi shows that deserves a reboot, it's Blake 7. It's happened before. Look at the original season of Star Trek and then look at what they did with Star Trek The Next Generation. I feel like in the right hands, a remake of Blake 7 could just be absolutely magical and could capture the attention of audiences around the world. If you've made it this far in the video, then thank you for watching me just ramble off the top of my own head about why I love Blake 7. I've managed to say so much and so little across this entire video. What do you think of Blake 7? What are some of your favourite episodes? Who's your favourite character? And all that good stuff. Let me know in the comments below. I basically just wanted to make this video so I could have a chat with you all about the wonders of Blake 7. If you've enjoyed this rambly video, then you'll be glad to know that next week I will be back to talking about beloved Doctor Who, but thought this week it'd be great fun to do something just a little bit different. The channel also has a Patreon if you want to support me to make more videos like this one. The link can be found in the description. Perks include getting your name in the credits of all future videos like this one. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Who Be Jones YouTube channel.